Welcome to Red Flag, Green Flag, the Strand Magazine podcast for the sex and relationships section. We're just three friends who kind of want to talk about some of the topics that we broach in that section for Strand Magazine. So my name's Electra. I'm a third year English student at King.
I'm Nat. I do liberal arts. I'm a third year English major and film studies minor. I'm the sex and relationships editor for Strand Magazine.
Oh yeah, I'm photography editor. I didn't say that.
I'm Martin. I'm a third year English and film student, and I'm the events organizer at Strand.
Yeah. And we're all also just friends. Yeah. So today's episode, we thought we'd talk about red flags because that's kind of the title of our podcast. We thought we'd start by kind of talking about what red flags are because, so my question is, what do red flags mean to you guys? What is a red flag?
Okay, I feel like a red flag is just, you know when you see a red flag, like physically, like a red flag?
Like an actual red flag?
Yeah, that's an indication of, wow, danger, like don't go near it.
Yeah.
And that's like how I see it. When I see somebody possessing some of these red flags, I'm like, hold on a second, stop, pause.
Yeah.
Wait a second, think about it. Do I want to start a romantic relationship with this person or even a platonic relationship? I feel like it's important in any relationships to be looking out for red and green flags.
So any behavior that you notice and it's indicative of a wider problem, not just like that you don't like that specific behavior, but a red flag is like it's signaling something. Yeah.
Well, officially, a red flag is something that is considered a deal breaker in a relationship. So a way to spot unhealthy relationships, which is what you guys were saying.
When you say officially, is that like
That's
the dictionary
legally
definition?
That's like, well, I Googled, okay?
Okay.
So there's
Mr. Google.
there's this Dr. Christy Kedarian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing
Good pronunciation.
it right. She's a relationship expert and licensed family and marriage therapist, and she says that a relationship red flag is something that is considered a deal breaker or a non-negotiable for a person, but more so with character, behavior, and emotional maturity and availability in the relationship. So it's really kind of about, I guess, behavior, the way people act, and like how some of those behaviors can
cause issues.
That's actually quite
Exactly.
interesting because the non-negotiable part is not something that I held personally.
This is the
like-
thing. I feel like red flags to me are like you see them and you decide whether they're too important.
Too red.
Yeah, too red. Because I think nobody's perfect. There's going to be red flags with everyone. I guess what I think is interesting here is that she says non-negotiable. Yeah, like you said.
For me, what I think a red flag is when I think nobody is perfect, but a red flag is things that aren't compatible with my behavioral lifestyle. So I do kind of agree with her because for me, people having a red flag is indicative of them not being able to reach sort of like my criteria of a
And
partner.
work in a relationship well together. Yeah.
And if I feel like if I focus too much on perhaps they could change, or perhaps like this red flag would turn into no longer a flag, then it would be something that then people would no longer have red flags because I would see everybody and I'd be like, those are imperfections that could potentially, do you get what I mean? So I do agree with her. But I also understand what you guys.
I think red flag as a term is something that has taken on a slightly different meaning.
More humorous.
Yeah,
I feel like it's progressed.
Yeah. I think what you say makes like complete sense as a definition, but I think some of the things we're going to even talk about today isn't necessarily things that we might consider
I
as
think,
complete deal breakers.
Yeah, I think maybe it's more like what we define as what we don't like.
It's quite personal.
I mean, this kind of brings us to like a second question, which is how do we recognize red flags? Because like from an outsider's perspective, I feel like it's really easy to see what doesn't work in other people's relationship because you're not in that relationship. But like when you're in it and you're like talking to someone, it's kind of hard to notice these red flags. And then after you guys break up, you're like, oh, it was there the whole time. But I guess so. How do you guys think?
I think the honest truth is time. Like, there is no other obviously there are some red flags that you just see immediately, but most of the time things will reveal themselves as you progress through the relationship, because nobody's really going to be completely honest and open and themselves at the start of a relationship. Everybody's their perfect self, and then as you progress, you're like, oh, you know, you've relaxed a little, and now I see that, you know, you might not do things the way I want them to. You know, might be a bit red flag.
I mean, I will say though, I think talking to your friends about people is so useful, because like my sister, for example, has a great bullshit meter. Like, she will tell me like from the get-go that somebody's weird vibes, and I'll be like, no, they're great, and then like 2 months later,
Or your
like,
mom. Like, your
my mom
really
is great.
good.
Yeah, but I think that's like tricky, because if you're in a relationship, you can't just bring him to your mom from the beginning.
Yeah,
you know?
especially if it's like some intimate details of things.
Yeah. I think friends and sisters and like
Siblings,
the people
cousins,
around you who you
yeah.
can trust are like a great way to kind of figure out if there are red flags that you're like not noticing, I guess.
But are those red flags? Because, like, for example, if you've met somebody and then you've noticed something about them, but you're so infatuated with them, and then later, like with time, you see them doing the same thing, but then at that point they're something that you can't really tolerate. Are those red flags, or are those just
Icks.
eggs? Or
That's a good point.
do you get what I mean? Because
Yeah.
red flags for me is something that I could immediately recognize, and I could choose to either ignore it because I like them too much, or red flags are something that I could choose to address immediately and just like block them out of my DMs.
I think that's just because you're really good at
Do you
seeing
think?
people. Yeah, I don't, because I've had like after a relationship, I've been like, oh wait, that was a huge red flag. And then-
Really?
yeah, but it's just like the thing is, maybe like I'll even notice them, but I just won't like. I don't know. It won't
Well,
compute.
I think certain behaviors take on a different meaning over time. Like at the
Yeah.
beginning, something might seem sweet and like dedicated if your partner, you know, is what is in, you know, after a couple of months, you're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
just possessiveness. This
Yeah.
isn't anything else.
That's
but
true.
yeah.
so I think there is a case for red flags to be something that you recognize over
Like,
time,
develops, yeah.
but you're completely right that.
But probably
most
the
of the
thing
time
is,
it
like,
is.
if you're talking to your friends about, like, situations, and then you could be like, isn't that so cute? And they're going to be like, no, he's a psycho.
But I also feel like it really depends on. Wait, I forgot what I was gonna say. Completely
Okay.
forgot.
Why don't we move on to actually, like, so what do you do when you notice this red flag, right? Because, so we had a friend of ours was saying, when it comes to relationships, you're kind of picking a partner who has faults that you can support. So if we're talking about this in the red flag perspective, it's kind of like when you pick someone, it's kind of like, are you picking someone who has red flags that you can support?
Like red flags that you can tolerate.
As in, like,
or-
are any red flags non-negotiables? Like, does that make sense?
Well, by definition, if they're non-negotiable, they can't be something you support.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if we're applying a more liberal
Yeah.
definition, yeah, I think there's definitely things that when you're in a relationship, you have to be like, okay, I will take that and run with it, even if it's not my favorite thing, because, I don't know, maybe I'm cynical, but I don't think there's a perfect relationship where there won't be any things that don't bother you. I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah. I feel like those wouldn't. So for me personally, those wouldn't be red flags. Those would just be like flaws or things that I could perhaps like understand
Yeah.
and like develop. Yeah, like for example, when I used to date this person who wouldn't fucking put the toilet seat down after they have a piss. And honestly, that's just a red flag that I've never been able to notice because I've never used to like let that person be in my toilet. But then once I realize it, then it's non-negotiable because it's fucking. No, sorry.
You
like-
can swear.
Yeah, we're swearing on
It's
this
like
podcast.
my mom's listening to this, but like absolutely gross. Sorry, boys, but yeah, absolutely gross.
No, as a male perspective, I can come in here. I completely agree with you.
And you
I
see
think
like
not
dots
put-
of yellow stains on
Yeah.
the.
Oh.
If you're at home,
Disgusting.
sit the fuck down, okay?
Absolutely. That's why we're friends. Martin, good job. That's why you're always welcome in my toilet.
Just the toilet, though.
Just
Go,
the
go
toilet.
ban that at the kitchen the
Yeah.
other day.
Okay. I think so. I mean, I guess we're like you guys are saying, like you can't really always tell like what is negotiable, what is non-negotiable. I think we should go through our like own red flags, like what is a red flag to you guys in a relationship, and are they non-negotiable? So like one of mine is just lying. Like any kind of lie, just it weirds me out because
why do you need to?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I went on a date with a guy who I met at a club, and he told me he went to the LSE, and which I'm like, oh fun, like we just chatted about it. And then when we went on a date later, he said, oh wait, actually, I lied. I go to like some uni in the north of London. And I was like, I mean, it's not a big deal. Like I don't care where you go to uni.
Yeah, you should own where you.
Why did you lie to me?
Yeah.
It's just, I think lies just speak to a character. Insecurities maybe, or like just, I don't know, if you're lying about the little things, you're gonna be lying about the big things, you know? And
that's
to me,
a red
like,
flag.
yeah.
That's 100%
Even
a red
in
flag.
friends, I feel like even in friends or like just people around you.
Anyone who finds it easy to lie and it's something that they don't really consider, they just do, that's indicative of a pattern. It's nobody just tells one lie and then it's like, oh yeah, no, everything else is true. No, you probably, if you do it with that ease, you probably do it a lot.
And it's so difficult to be able to trust anything they say once you've known that they're inclined to lie about even the tiniest things. So how do you know if you could rely on them on big things? You know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, what are you guys' red flags?
well, one of mine is like quite specific. Well, I think my biggest one is when they're rude to serving staff. Because I feel like that really shows how they view like social structures and like how they feel like they could act when they're in a position of superiority or like a position of power. And that could potentially happen within the relationship, like for example the breadwinner or like who's bringing the financial stability, and that's when they're in position of powers, and that could potentially be how they would act towards people that are deemed less superior in a society. And I think that's, you can see like classism and that sort of thing, or even like ageism or just whatever isms.
I mean, it's indicative of like
just
a
being
lack
a
of
shitty
respect.
person.
Yeah.
Just a shit person.
It's a lack of respect, and then how can you function like that? You know.
Yeah.
And it's also it's just so uncomfortable, and it's
just rude.
And the lack of respect is just I think that's definitely a big red flag.
Yeah. And like
I think it just also speaks to the way people treat each other. Like if just generally they're nice with you but they're an asshole with everyone else, like no.
Well,
what about
I have a
yours?
controversial one that I want to explain, but it's people who are anti-intellectual. So that makes me sound like the biggest prick in the world.
You're gonna get cancelled.
No, but I don't mean like that everybody has to be, pursuing education.
A PhD.
Yeah, no, that's not what I mean. I mean people who are proud about never reading, who are not interested in growing themselves as a person, never actively eschewing education. I just think I've made myself look like a prick using the word eschew there. But
no, I agree with
I think it ties into like people who don't have ambition, because then it can feel like not like they're dragging you down, but like if you guys don't both have goals, then what else do they have? Like I feel like it's important to both be driven, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just like everything we do in life should be in some way enriching us, and if you're just happy to not enrich yourself at all and you're proud of that seems like, I don't know, I don't think I'd be compatible with that kind of person.
I think everybody should be able to you do you
yeah,
but also
exactly.
But I think it just like if enriching yourself is something that's important to you and growing is important to you, and then you're with someone who doesn't feel that way, then it can be frustrating. And I think it's a valid red flag.
Yeah, I feel like if they're content with where they are and like they don't even try, and like that really ties into like, for example, my personal experience when a partner is content with their own culture and their language and they don't even try and understand other backgrounds, especially we're in London where there are so many different information that we could absorb like just by talking to other people. And I don't think you mean like literature or like Shakespeare's poetry. I think you just mean like enriching yourself and getting to know
in anything.
Yeah,
more
just
about the
learning.
world.
you know.
Learning, being
like watching the
inquisitive.
news or something.
Yeah.
I
Wha-
think.
literally whatever, just something that you're progressing in, that you have a desire
You have
to.
like a hobby or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be like, for me, not a red flag. I mean, unless they're actively saying, oh, why do you go to uni? That's so stupid. You should just be making knives.
Wait, what?
Sorry.
That feels like it needs unpacking.
Yeah.
Who's been
I don't
making
know, that
knives?
just like popped up to my head. My flatmate's boyfriend makes knives. Shout out to Leo. He's amazing at knives making. That wasn't a dick. Like, that
No,
just
yeah.
popped up to my head.
Okay.
I love you. No, but like what I mean is, I think it's a green flag if they are active. For example, a green flag is if I talk to somebody about English or film and they have something to. They bring something to the table.
Yeah.
Like, they bring something into
Like
the
you can
conversation.
have a conversation with them. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if they don't know much about it, they're like interested in understanding what you're passionate about. I think that would be a green flag.
Yeah.
Like something that would add points.
I agree.
That's also just like shared interest. I feel like that's to a certain extent that's a completely normal. Would that even be a green flag, or is that just
But
It can be hard, like.
there are some people that don't even bother
That- Yeah.
learning about your interests. Like if I meet somebody who's just obsessed with snooker or whatever, and I'll
These are the
Yeah.
most random examples.
I've
Okay,
never
like-
heard you say snooker in my life.
okay, right. And I've known this man for like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, like if they're like
That's
obsessed
fair
with the moon, right?
Mm.
And I am not interested in the moon. For
Okay.
example, I
Yeah.
am interested in the moon, but
But
like
you'll
for example,
you'll ask questions,
Yeah.
you know, and you'll be like, oh, why?
yeah,
But then if somebody's not interested in getting to know you,
then that's a red flag.
Yeah. I get that. I mean, one of mine, which I feel like it doesn't, like, not everyone understands because it sounds a bit weird. It's not, yes, yes. So, I think, so people who expect you to prioritize them, like, at 100% over everything else, I think is a red flag for me. Like, I think it's really important to me to have, like, work-life, like, balance. So friends and boyfriend to me are on the same, partner are on the same, like, level, if that makes,
That makes sense. I
But
think.
see, the thing is, some people are like, oh yeah, but if we go out together, like, you need to call me every day, like, we need to talk all the time. And I'm like, I think I prioritize the people in my life always, right? But if they're asking you to hang out with them always, and like even when you go to hang out with your friends, they're like, take me with you. Like sometimes I think you need to
No, I
have
completely
some alone
agree.
time.
Separate lives.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you share everything, like what are you gonna have to talk about?
And a relationship is the merging of two life stories, not like
Wow,
you getting.
poetic.
You're not getting someone and attaching them to you, and they're not attaching you to them.
like you're
it's
supposed to,
you
you know.
You're
merge.
not completing each other, you're complementing each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why I don't know. Like I think expecting you to do that, and it's just not fair. I think. Yeah. That's
Just so quick. Like, that's similar to what I've said about, like,
clingy people.
clingy people.
Yeah.
I don't mind clingy, but I hate people that gets addicted to things very easily.
Mm-hmm.
That's like people, or even substance like vaping. If your life depends on something that's not yourself, then I think that's something you should work on, because you are the only person that you should rely 100% on, and not some things that you could potentially lose, like a disposable vape.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I mean, discipline is attractive. Just anyone who's able to, be
Kinky.
What?
not that kind of discipline.
I'm sorry, what?
No, like being disciplined. Like wait.
What
not-
if we find whips in his bedroom or something? Oh my
I
god, my
mean-
grandma is.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Your grandma's just had a heart
From
attack.
all the times we've been at Martin's place, I have not seen.
Because
something-
I mean discipline as in no impulse control. How
Yeah,
about that?
yeah.
Could you twist that
Yeah.
into something that fucked up?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Like somebody who's like, doesn't go into excess all the time.
Yeah, like self-control.
Yeah.
Like being able to do what you want, but then not let them control you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so my question also is, what do you think are your red flags? Like someone meets you and they're like, oh, I can't do this. I mean,
Why don't you start first?
Yeah, I'll go. Okay. I'll go first.
I think it is a fair question to ask.
I think that is so fair. Self-awareness is key.
That's the thing. I think self-awareness is really important. I think we should know ourselves. I mean, I'm sure, like, other people have ideas about red flags of mine that I don't think about. But, like, I think one of mine definitely is that I'm a bad communicator. Like, it's really hard for me to share my feelings. Like, especially if I get into, like, an argument or a fight, like, I'm gonna want to sweep that under the rug because I'm not a very confrontational person. And I was like, it's fine, like, we're buddy, but then, like, that shit festers and it's not really great. And I know that is a red flag for some people, which is totally understandable. I'm working on that.
Thank you for your honesty.
I think some of our audience would struggle to date you.
I think all of our audience would struggle to date me.
Some of them have said that they wouldn't like it if they don't, like, if they shut down.
Yeah. I don't think I shut down. Like, would
you show that you're in a mood? Or
no, see, this is the thing. Like, if I get upset about something and I don't want to bother someone with it, I'll be like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
So you're bad at communicating because you prioritize other people's emotions over your own rather than not knowing your own emotions? Or is that...
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think it's, like, prioritizing other people's emotions over mine. Also, just generally not knowing what is going on in my head.
As in, like, there's so much going on. You don't even know what's wrong.
Sometimes it's hard to figure out, like, how you feel about stuff. You know what I mean? But I think, I don't think it's a really fun thing to have. But I don't know. I think that's one of my red flags. I think also one of mine is definitely, like, I guess I'm a people pleaser, so it kind of fits into that same, like, not sharing my feelings, because I'm like, don't worry.
I mean, in the production meeting, I think we all three of us expressed
like,
that as a red flag.
We're the people pleaser group. We please each other.
Exactly. That's why we're friends.
Oh, nobody's gonna comment on that. How that sounded.
Oh my God, Jesus. He's cancelled. Men are...
You've insinuated... I was trying to say something interesting, and you've insinuated I am into BDSM, and, you know...
Oh my God! Wait,
listen,
hold on a second.
Sex and relationship podcast.
Exactly.
You're supposed to be open about this shit.
But there's nothing to be open about.
I'm gonna edit this part out. Like that... Okay, Martin, what about you? What's your own red flag?
You know, one thing that I really am trying to work on, and it's a consequence of my upbringing, is the fact that I judge people way too much, way too quickly, especially people I don't know. Like,
Did you judge me when you met me?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember.
That's gonna be like, you called me a bitch.
When he first met me, guys, our audience is gonna listen to this story.
Don't cancel Martin.
This is the last time. It's being broadcasted to potentially millions. And this
wow,
is
you're really hopeful about our audience.
That's
we round up.
Wait, y'all, let's not fight on the podcast.
I think this might be a bit too tangential, but
okay, let's go back to our conversation.
Okay.
Okay, you judging people too quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely judge people too quickly, and it's not terrible judging, but before I interact with anyone, or if I just see them, there's just things going on in my brain. My brain's just going,
that's normal. I feel like everybody kind of judges people, as long as you're not...
Yeah, but see, then I shape how I interact with that person based on a judgment that's completely and entirely unfair. And I try not to do it, and I'm aware of it, but I think it is something that is quite unappealing.
I mean, it happens, you know.
Do you have something to say?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think it's that much of a red flag.
Okay.
Personally. I mean, I don't know what Nat thinks. I think it's normal to judge people. Like, I think everyone does it.
But I'm saying too much.
I mean, as your friend, I haven't felt like you do that.
Yeah, because I don't do it to people I know.
Because you're, like, concealed to people.
We're gonna get copyright strike.
I think, well, with... like a tiny amount, that's funny. Like it's funny when you're like, oh my God, why is that couple's like kissing and making out in front of us? Like that's too much PDA. Like that's like right amount of judginess. But when it when it's like when you judge a person too quickly, you don't give them a chance to like sort of form a first impression, because you've already sort of like form a first impression before they even have a chance to interact with you. That could be damaging to relationships. But I think in general it could be fun to like kind of like just chat.
Yeah, that's true. One thing I love about Martin is we get along because we gossip. Have we gone over?
I don't know, Nat. Have you?
Oh, right.
Not that I'm trying to say something, but like, just I'm saying your list was a bit long.
What are your red flags?
Okay, I think my red flags, I would previously say that I'm like a people pleaser. Like what I've been brought up to please people in my household. And I've been brought up to be always like to even when it's moments of unjust, I would just swallow it and be like, okay, whatever, I'll be the bigger person. But as I've grown right now, I feel like I've become the opposite, and now I'm like immensely high maintenance. Like I'm so, I don't know, like with the toilet seat thing that we were talking about.
That's normal. I don't think you're high maintenance, bro.
I feel like even as a friend, I'm quite high maintenance.
Maybe I don't maintain you enough then.
No, you're fine. No, I love you. No, I think it's, sometimes I expect quite a lot because I do give a lot. And I think I don't count, like I don't like put it on a weight and balance it, but then I do think about things quite deeply, as in, oh, I've done like this much, would that person do the same for me, that kind of thing. So I think I do have standards in a way that perhaps people like, and also my standards are kind of weird. Like I do expect my boyfriend to brush their teeth twice a day.
That's not weird. That's
that's overbearing. Wow, twice a day?
He's kidding. No, that's normal.
Do you also expect a weekly shower, or is that like...
No, like, I do expect them... Like, I feel like I do hold people accountable.
That's good. I don't think that's a red flag.
That's not... I would say it can't be a red flag. Your level of maintenance is just what you need.
Yeah.
And
I think it could be a red flag.
But, I mean, that's just if someone doesn't feel like they want to put a lot of work into their relationship.
If they're a bitch.
But but like the thing is, you put so much of yourself into your relationships, like whether that be friendships or like romantic relationships. So I think it's normal for you to expect that in return. You know?
Thank you, Electra. That's so sweet. Yeah, I've heard so many boys call me too much,
and that's bullshit. I mean, the thing is,
I can see why they think that though.
I think you're just a very vibrant person, and I think some people feel like relationships aren't supposed to be a lot of work, but
it should be fun.
Yeah,
just fun.
But the thing is, I feel like if you're in a committed relationship with someone and you've got like an emotional responsibility to, put the work in.
Yeah, but I guess I could be too much, and that could be a red flag to some people who are too little for me, and there'll be red flags for me too. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
If I'm too passionate, if I'm too
10 out of
intense,
10.
That's because you're not ready to receive the intensity of my relationship. Yeah. But if you're someone who's ready and committed and a man, then I'm sure you'll be able to.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And I'll be a green flag, and they'll also be a green flag.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's great. I mean, should we go over some of our readers' answers? Because we asked you guys on Instagram
or social media.
Yeah, social media. What you guys' red flags are. Someone said lack of communication, but silence as a weapon. So, like in the same line as like manipulation, gaslighting. What do you guys think?
I mean, yeah, I think lack of communication. Communication is key. So anybody not willing to.
Are you trying to attack me right now?
I'm attacking a group that contains you. But yeah.
God.
I think one of the really interesting ones we saw on this list was when they have Velcro on their shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I've never really noticed this, but this
I don't
would be
look at
added
people's
on.
shoes, but I also haven't seen Velcro on shoes in a while.
Yeah, because you don't hang out with toddlers.
Whoa, be careful, careful.
Are you
I have never seen a pair of adult shoes with Velcro.
So many Velcro shoes.
Yeah, aren't they like fashionable now? I don't know.
Are they?
You know, on like the Adidas Superstore, that's like
They're not Velcro.
They're Velcro.
I mean, I think some of them... The thing is, when we say Velcro, all I can think about are bowling shoes. So, like...
I don't know. I think it's definitely a red flag, unless it's some kind... Because it's never nice shoes, you know? Like, sure.
But it could be fashion.
It could be, but usually they're, like, weird, ugly shoes.
And some people might have, like, you know, like, mobility...
Okay, of course.
You know, so...
Okay. Well,
might need
now you've made me
Velcro.
feel bad.
You
Edit
know-
that out.
You know what I don't agree with, though? Someone has said that a red flag is pineapple on pizza.
Oh my god. I don't have any opinion on that. I feel like you can eat whatever the hell you
Thank
want.
you.
Wow,
I am
middle,
a
down the
pineapple
middle,
on-
huh?
No,
Yeah, you're
honestly, I
really
don't
sitting
care.
this one out, bestie. You
I
can't
genu-
bed sit on
I
this.
genuinely don't care. Like, you're gonna shit it out anyway. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
fuck
care
it.
what you eat.
Oh my god. I'm a pineapple on pizza person, and I think we should all just live together
Peacefully.
Yes.
peacefully,
Yes, completely.
harmoniously. Don't hate on pineapple on pizza. I think which ones like stood out to you in the list that we were given?
To me, the general relationship of a person with animals, I think that's very
Oh,
indicative.
yeah.
If I see somebody, like, you don't have to be a dog person, you don't have to be a cat person, fine. Bit of a red flag for me personally, but it's 100% an objective red flag if somebody is mean to any animal.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Because animals are powerless if you don't take care of them. And if you... Imagine if you're sitting in a hospital powerless. That could potentially be how they would treat you, because you're just like, you know, a little pet.
No, I
No, like, not like that, but like, do you
no,
know
I
what
see.
mean?
I see what you mean. I think it's again like about like respecting like just everyone.
Any living creature.
Yeah, and making sure that everyone's okay.
But what if they're rats?
Rats, you know, what's a rat ever done to you?
All right,
Have you
okay.
seen
Apart from-
Ratatouille?
Apart from the plague.
That was a while ago, though. It's okay.
Is
We've got
Ratatouille a reality you live regularly?
No.
Okay, the one that stood out to me is the bro culture one.
Mm-hmm.
And also a really wise friend of mine said so she had a boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and when some of her friends asked him, so what do you like about her? And then he was like, oh, I love that she cooks for me, I love that she makes me happy, I love that she listens to me.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, that's a red flag, because they couldn't even say a single thing about you as a person that they love.
Like only what
What
you
they
were
could take
giving.
from you.
Yeah.
And what you could give for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really, like, I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah, because relationships aren't supposed to be transactional, and if they kind of see it only as what you can give them instead of who you are.
Yeah.
I think that's a very interesting conversation to have, to ask to what extent relationships are transactional, because like there are psychological theories that say that you're only happy in a relationship if you can see the benefit of what you receive. What you receive might not be purely, you know, monetary and material. It might be emotional support. But I think that is a, you know, when is loving someone for who they are rather than what they give you a good thing, and can that become a bad thing if you stop considering what they give you altogether and you're just paying attention to the things that they are, and you know, because I think it is important to also have that. Like to have I don't know. I think it's a conversation to be had, because it's quite a controversial thing to say. Pay attention to what you're receiving.
Yeah.
But when you break up, that's one of the first things you start thinking about. Like, what was I receiving? What was I giving?
Yeah.
That's true.
That is true. I wouldn't say it's transactional, but I would say it's like a mutual kind of support that you would expect from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps not like give and take, but like, you know, like Michelle Obama said, sometimes you're not both 100%, but then you always form 100% together, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think a relationship is always aspiring to be kind of like, I don't know how I could phrase it better, but I wouldn't say it's exactly transactional, because it kind of like commodifies it.
Yeah, transactional is not a good word to have, but the spirits of the
Yeah,
transaction might be
absolutely.
something that's useful to consider sometimes.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, We had some similar things, like, people who, so a red flag for some of you, is someone who is overconfident, arrogant, or cocky. I guess these are all, like, kind of maybe personality traits or, like, behaviors, like this, like, the way people think. I guess that.
I think it ties into the respect thing again.
Yeah.
Like if somebody there's confidence and that's good, and then there's overconfidence when maybe I don't know. I think that usually manifests itself in a lack of respect to other things.
I think also when it comes to arguing, like how people react and like work with you is such a big thing. Like one of you said, when they're unable to admit that they were wrong, I think that's a huge thing because it speaks like just to maturity and just generally.
You're just an egomaniac if you can't say sorry.
And it's important to recognize when you're wrong.
Yeah.
I think everybody finds that difficult though. Like I know I find it very hard to be like.
I think it's
sorry,
exponentially harder in a relationship as well because that's something that builds up over time, and I think there's more pride involved in relationships, even though maybe it should be the other way around. But I think it's not always the case.
I feel like a British person might disagree because they're always sorry. If you talk to them, they're always sorry.
I thought that was Canadians who are like sorry.
I think it's all both of them. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm Canadian. I'm always sorry.
You're never sorry. What are you talking
Because
about?
I'm always right.
Yeah, that's true. You're always
I am
right.
actually objectively always right. One thing that really stood out to me is the bro culture that was similar to what you said. If they say one thing in front of you and say another to their friends and like lads, you know, I find that a bit immature.
What's
your
opinion,
I don't know if
Martin?
we have the time to unravel all of that, but I would agree. Generally, bro culture and the manosphere, whatever they're calling it these days, is a negative thing. Anyone who's a bit too into that.
I mean, okay, let's conclude with, let's each say what one of our green flags are. Like, you see this and you're like, wow, I'm into this.
Why don't you start?
Okay, I'll go first. I think one of mine is definitely people who are confident, because I think I struggle a little, like, socially, like, meeting people, talking to people. Sometimes it can be really hard. I really like it when someone can come up to me and just be like, hey, and make me talk to them, like, in a consensual way. But just, generally somebody, I think, who's confident. That's a green flag. Then again, also, we were saying not overconfident.
Yeah.
It's a
Electra,
fine
you're asking
line.
for a lot right now. I don't know. It's just, I think, I mean, there is a fine line. And with a lot of things, I think you have to tote that fine line sometimes. But, what about you guys?
I think mine is when they're interested in culture, when they're interested in books and films and everything. And also one thing is if they're really attentive. They remember small things that you've said before. And then, for example, there's this one guy that I mentioned I really like strawberries, and then the next time they just brought me strawberries.
I remember you telling me about that. It really, like, marked you.
Yeah, like, things like that, or, like, when you're walking on the street, they, like, move you to the side of the, like, the inside of the road. Yeah. Or, like, just little things like that. Like, when you're shivering, they notice, and then they give you, like, shivery.
Like, they make sure to remember your friends' names, like, even if they haven't met them.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Like, I think attentiveness is very rare in people.
Very green flag.
Yeah.
And what
about you, Martin?
I mean, for me, I think I was gonna say attentiveness, but if I can't say that, I'm gonna take one off from the list that we've made.
Yeah.
Smelling clean. That
was mine.
Yeah, but well, you took the good ones, so I'm gonna take smelling clean.
Well, you should have gone first then.
That is a massive green flag, like somebody that. Just, and with women, I think it's quite common. So, but you know.
Because smelling clean is like a deep, like, maintenance thing, because like it's the last thing I do to make myself like presentable, because people don't see this scent. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I do my hair, my makeup, whatever, and then the last thing is a perfume. Do you get what I mean? So if they smell nice, they're really like detail oriented.
Yeah.
Here's a question: is perfume smelling clean or smelling nice?
Ooh.
Oh, not even like perfume. Like, if you but if you say clean, it's just shower. Like, you just
but
shower.
like a good shower gel.
Good shower gel.
Good,
is important.
Getting out of the shower, all the stuff you put on.
Do you have a shower gel preference, Martin?
Let's recommend it.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's called. I don't know the brand. The smell is cedarwood though. It's,
wow, wait, you really have a.
Yeah.
Wow, Martin.
I I can attest I cannot smell anything on him. So
So that's smelling neutral then.
smelling nothing. And smelling neutral. Anyway.
Was that? You're really having a rough time here, Martin.
No, I'm having a great time. I think this was a very successful first
I think
episode.
it was. I mean, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed.
I hope you enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was great talking to you two.
Yes.
It's not like we talk every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tune in for our next episode where we're going to be talking about boundaries with your partner. And we hope you all have a great day.
Have a great day, guys.
Woohoo.